Worldly desires. We are to pursue holiness, not allowing sinful desires to dominate and control our attitudes and actions. Here's Gene to explain.
Look at Genesis 26, verses 34 through 35. When Esau was 40 years old, he took as his wives Judith, daughter of Beeri the Hittite. And that's key. Hittites, they were part of the Canaanites. They were idolaters. They were living really very immoral and sinful lives. And he also took Basemath, daughter of Elon the Hittite. And of course here we see him violating God's one man, one woman relationship when he took two wives. So he has two Hittite women. And they're idolaters. They're immoral. And notice what happened. These two women made life bitter for Isaac and Rebekah. Now he purposely violated the desire of his parents and of God to marry these idolatrous individuals. Number one, to become a polygamist, which was not God's ideal. And secondly, to marry two women who were indeed evil. That's how Solomon, by the way, his downfall began, as we'll see as we get into the story of Solomon. When he married an Egyptian, a princess, and then he began to move away from God's will for his life, having made such an incredible, great beginning. So, worldly desires were to pursue holiness. And in Hebrews chapter 12, verses 14 and 16, we have these words. Pursue peace with everyone and what? Holiness. See, if we're going to avoid spiritual insensitivity and deceptive behavior, like characterized Jacob and Esau, then we're going to have to pursue holiness. It just doesn't happen naturally. Now, don't misunderstand. When we become believers, we are holy in God's sight. He sees us as perfectly holy through the sacrifice of Jesus Christ and his resurrection. If that weren't true, none of us could be saved. We call that positional holiness. God sees us as perfect through Christ. But if we're going to become more and more holy as we live our lives here, progressive holiness or sanctification we call it in theological terms, then we have to pursue it. It doesn't just happen naturally. And notice, without it, no one will see the Lord. Certainly we'll not see the Lord without holiness positionally. And if we're not pursuing it, then we need to check and make sure that there's not an unbelieving heart and we just think we're sanctified in God's sight. And we need to take a look at our lives. See to it that no one falls short of the grace of God and that no root of bitterness. And that was part of Esau's problem, was a root of bitterness. And so here, the author of Hebrews warns against it, that no root of bitterness springs up, causing trouble, and by it defiling many. Now notice the illustration. And see that there isn't any immoral or irreverent person like Esau. See, here's this New Testament Jewish believer reflecting on this Old Testament story. See that there isn't any immoral or irreverent person like Esau who sold his birthright in exchange for just one meal. So you can see the author of Hebrews is relating back to the very story that we're looking at here in this Old Testament setting.